be presenting a survey of the paper Rethinking LLM Memorization through the lens of adversarial compression. This work proposes a new operational definition of memorization using adversarial compression. The authors are Avi Schwarzschild, Zivi Fan, Pedius Mian, whatever, and in from CNU, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Here's the outline of today's talk. We'll begin with the motivation behind studying memorization in large language models. Then we'll discuss why existing definitions are inadequate. Next, I'll introduce the proposed metric called the adversarial compression ratio, or ACR, along with the mini prompt algorithm for computing it. After that, we'll dive into experiments, including on-learning and Harry Potter case studies, and end with limitations, compute, and key takeaways. So large language models are trained on massive amounts of web data. This raises concerns about whether they memorize sensitive or copyrighted content. Memorization matters for privacy, legality, and understanding whether models are simply copying compared to truly generalizing it. A key question is, to what extent do models memorize training data instead of learning general patterns? So defining memorization is surprisingly difficult. Existing approaches like exact match reproduction are too strict, since models may paraphrase. Membership inference techniques often require internal access or per samples loss, which isn't available for proprietary models. Prompt-based extraction depends heavily on the attack algorithm. Overall, existing definitions are not robust and consistent. There are important legal and policy implications. Copyright lawsuits question whether training data use is lawful. Regulators and auditors need a principled way to determine if a model memorizes specific content. The metric must be operational and not tied to a specific attack or full model access. These practical constraints motivate a new definition of memorization. Sorry. There are three major limitations with existing notions. Exact match detection fails because paraphrasing isn't counted. Membership inference is unreliable and often requires internals. Prompt extraction is overly dependent on the attack strategy. Because of these limitations, evaluations of memorization become inconsistent across papers. A better definition should work at the level of individual strands, treat the model as a black box, and um, be quantitative. It should be stable across attack methods and applicable to real-world attacks like famous quotations, news, or web data. This critical guide, this criteria guide the author's new approach. The core intuition is simple. If a model can reconstruct a long string from a very short prompt, then the model effectively compresses that string. Compression is evidence of memorization, so the authors evaluate how much shorter a prompt can be compared to the output string. The idea becomes formalized as the adversarial compression ratio. To compute ACR, we search for the shortest prompt that causes the model to produce a target string with high probability. Then the output length be the numerator and prompt length be the denominator. A high ACR means the model compresses the target string significantly, which is treated as evidence of memorization. A string is considered memorized if its ACR exceeds a threshold. The simplest threshold is 1, meaning the model can regenerate more text than it receives. Alternatively, the threshold can be set relative to normal compressors like gzip or SMAZ. This yields a principled, quantifiable notion of memorization. Sorry, this figure I will add after the presentation. This figure originally shows adversarial compression in action. Okay, I just want to make sure all those are uploaded. Sorry. This figure originally shows adversarial compression in action. We search for short prompts that trigger the model to reproduce long target strings. This operationalized memorization without requiring exact match or model internals. ACR is a black box metric that applies to each sample individually. It is robust across different search methods. It can diagnose memorization and evaluate unlearning. Importantly, it gives consistent results across a wide range of datasets. Mini-prompt is the practical algorithm for estimating ACR. Since exact search is impossible, mini-prompt uses gradient-based or heuristic optimization over discrete prompts. It restricts prompt length and vocabulary to make the search tractable, and evaluates prompts using the model's likelihood. This algorithm enables large-scale ACR computation with reasonable GPU resources. It allows researchers to evaluate memorization across thousands of strings or assesses memorization changes after unlearning or fine-tuning. The experiment used Pythia models and a variety of data categories, including famous quotes, news articles, and Wikipedia fragments. Many of these datasets have known or estimated training data inclusion, letting the author validate whether ACR aligns with actual memorization. These results show that Pythia models exhibit higher ACR values for famous quotes than were likely in training. The distribution shifts noticeably between in-training and out-of-training data. For Pythia 1.4b, the effect is even stronger. The model shows high compression for in-training samples and substantially lower compression for non-training samples. This demonstrates that ACR correlates with real memorization behavior. This figure shows how ACR varies with target sequence length. While longer sequences allow higher compression, the metric remains meaningful and distinguishes memorized from non-memorized sequences. Compression to SMAZ, which does not memorize anything, LLM frequently achieve much better compression. Sorry, not compression. Compared to SMAZ, which does not memorize anything, LLM frequently achieve much better compression on memorized text. Whenever ACR significantly exceed SMAZ's compression ratio, it strongly suggests that the model stores training data. To test on learning, the authors analyze models trained on Harry Potter text Some models undergo unlearning procedures designed to prevent reproducing that content. The key question is whether these models truly forget the text or simply suppress output. Even after, even after unlearning, the model's log likelihood on Harry Potter text remains high. This suggests the model still internally represents the content even if it refuses to generate it directly. This figure shows that adversarial prompts can still extract sizable functions of Harry Potter-like text after unlearning. This means unlearning may hide evidence of memorization rather than remove it. The takeaway is that refusal behavior or surface changes do not guarantee the model has unlearned the content. ACR reveals hidden memorization that completion-based tests miss. The authors also study TOFU-like unlearning task involving QA facts. Even after unlearning procedures, many facts remain compressible, indicating persistent memorization. This figure illustrates that compression-based analysis exposes memorization even when the model appears to have forgotten facts according to surface evaluations. This experiment uses a gradient-based search (GCG) style. The results are consistent with earlier findings. In training data is much more compressible than out of training data. Even random search yields similar trends. This shows robustness. ACR does not depend on the specific attack algorithm. Good evidence that memorization is a strong underlying property. Across models, datasets, and attack strategies, ACR reliably separates memorized from non-memorized text. This makes it a strong candidate for general memorization metric. The authors position ACR as a practical tool for auditing memorization. It enables meaningful evaluations for underlying unlearning and could inform legal and regulatory processes regarding training data usage. Limitations include reliance on approximate search, focus on Pythia-like models, and lack of coverage for semantic or conceptual knowledge. Threshold choice may require domain-specific tuning. Mini-prompt runs with modest hardware like a single A100 or multiple smaller GPUs. More compute improves the approximation of the shortest prompt, but even limited compute yields informative results. ACR provides a new operational definition of memorization grounded in compression. It aligns well with actual training data presence. Mini prompts makes it practical. The approach offers meaningful insights for auditing, unlearning, and legal context. This concludes the survey. This work builds on prior research in memorization, privacy, and adversarial prompting. Please refer to the original paper for full technical details. Thank you.